Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing my out-of-box review for the 1/100 scale Gundam Kimaris. If you guys will remember back to my review of the HG version, I was not really too convinced on the design of the Kimaris until I built that kit, and then I really fell in love with it. So I was very much looking forward to this kit just being a sort of larger, more detailed version of that. I do have to say I do still like it. I think it doesn't quite pull off like the same feeling as the HG. It's a little bit different. I don't know. I can't really describe it. One thing that I will point out right away that's going to be probably one of the most noticeable differences about this kit is that it has a lot of detail. This is going back to like almost in like the 1990s when we had those HG kits, like the wing kits, that were just packed with loads of details. It's not quite to that level, but it's definitely comparable to that, where it just has a lot of details on there. In some areas, even a little bit too much for my personal taste. I think when it comes down to painting this, I'm probably going to try to get rid of some of those details even. So that is one thing you'll see as we're taking a look at the kit, and when I bring it up close and give you a closer look as well, you'll see a lot of those details. So a lot of them are really nice, but just in some areas I think it's just a little bit too much, but it's just all about personal taste there. This kit is really nice, the fact that it does come with the booster unit, which we'll see in a moment, so I'm really happy about that. It's a really good choice on Bandai's part to include that with this. It was unfortunate, but you can't really hold it too much against them that it was included separately for the HG version, but it's just nice that it was included together with this 1/100 scale version. So also just want to say a big thank you to MindFenix Hobby Store, of course, as always, for sending me this kit to share with you guys. Really happy with this. The 1/100 scale line has been really good so far, so I'm very pleased. You know, I really don't think we're gonna get master grades of these. Maybe the Barbatos someday, but I don't know, other ones maybe not. So I don't know. I'm happy to have this because I think it's probably going to be the only 1/100 scale version that we're going to have of the Kimaris anyway. So it's going to be looking very nice, pretty minimal in terms of the stickers. Really, it's just a couple. Like there's the ones there for the eyes. On the back of the head, when it comes around here, you'll see there's just a yellow one on the back of the head, back camera there. And that's really going to be about it. Other than that, there's really just there's a few stickers on the inner frame, just the same as like the Barbatos, but if you remember from the unboxing, in this case they're just silver instead of the gold color on the Barbatos inner frame. Again, if you remember from the unboxing, the inner frame itself is going to be mostly the same as the Barbatos. There are a handful of pieces that are changed, so that means you will have a handful of pieces like this that are just going to be left over Barbatos frame parts that you know, you may find useful someday, but I don't know, they're pretty specific, so it might not really be all that useful, but you may just want to hang on to them anyway. You never know. So other than that, we have a few different cool weapons and things that we can make. So let's go ahead and get into getting a closer look at this, talk a little bit about the articulation, and I'll just cover all of this. So here in the head, you can see we have a really nice head sculpt, bowling pin head here. The eyes are there in yellow. No, I guess I made the mistake. I said that's a sticker. It's not a sticker. Sorry about that. That was just a yellow piece. There's one yellow piece inside of there that makes the yellow for the eyes, and the yellow up in here in the top forehead camera as well. It's too bad they couldn't make that yellow piece go like all the way up to the top and like out the back here. I think that probably could have definitely been doable, but unfortunately they didn't do that. So we just have yellow in there. There was this purple piece there as well, and then this V-fin part went in on top of that. So overall, really cool head design there. I've really come around to liking it quite a bit. And then yeah, again, so we just have a purple piece on the back and then the yellow sticker in there. So the head articulation is going to be pretty good. Down, up, only about that far. I kind of wish it was up a little bit more, but that's okay. The shoulders are going to be able to move a little bit like so, really only come up about that high, and then this part here, the wing part here on the side, is going to be able to come up about 90 degrees perpendicular to the body there. This top part is able to pull up, and we do have the slash discs inside of there, but sadly there's not really a whole lot that you can do with them, and this part I've found kind of has a little bit of trouble staying up. There's not really any sort of notch or anything that I've found. It's just kind of like loose. so it doesn't really seem to want to stay up, at least on mine. It could be that I'm doing something wrong, but yeah, it's just kind of like that. So that's kind of disappointing, but not really a feature that I care too much about mine. It clicks when you push it down, so I don't know, maybe I'm doing something wrong. This part here on the front of the shoulder is now a mint colored piece of plastic rather than a sticker like it was on the HG, so that's good. In the torso, I'm gonna have some nice torso bending there, but as you can see, one problem comes with this frame. It's the same for the Barbatos. If you twist it too much, it kind of comes off there, and the whole thing's just kind of falling apart here on me. Honestly, the way the shoulders are connected onto the arm here is not really the most secure connection, so moving them around too much, they will come off. Just be aware of that. Anyway, just again, forward and back movement there in the chest, and you're going to be seeing some piston action inside there, which is pretty cool. Arms are going to rotate, bend, double bend there, get you a nice, good angle of movement there for the arm. We are going to have a seam line here on the underside and on the front of the arm there and there, just a little bit, so really not too much. On the shoulder part as well, as this other side's coming off, might as well show this to you now. Seam line here, there a little bit, and there just a little bit, so not really too bad. Front skirts are going to move individually, side skirts are going to move up like that individually as well, and the back skirt is going to move up as well. In the back skirt we do have this little part that is going to slide out like so, and that's where we're going to be able to store our combat knife. I'll show you that in a minute. Just to show you this inside here, you can see there's some of those silver stickers in on the inner frame. Legs, again, just going to rotate at the top, bend at the knee, just about there, more than 90 degrees, but not too much more. We're always going to have a seam line there on the thigh armor as well. You're going to have to get rid of that. And then the lower legs, of course, are going to be a little bit more unique because of the way that they open up. So the way these are going to open up, you're going to open up the front and back, bend the toe down like so, and then inside we have the thruster bells. You're just going to point those down like that to get our sort of open leg form like this. Then when you've got that up on an action base, you can have it posed up very nicely. The ankles, again, going to rotate side to side like that, and then obviously the toe moves, so that's about the articulation of that. Then for our accessories, you can see on the kit I've got the open hands there. Then we do also have a set of holding hands as well. Now you have to be careful because in the box you actually have two different holding hands. One are old from the Barbatos and one are new. The difference is going to be here in the wrist connection. You can see here the one you're supposed to use is a little bit more robust wrist connection there, whereas the Barbatos one is more thin. So the Barbatos one is you're not going to use. So we're just going to be having our two holding hands here like that. Then we have the aforementioned combat knife, which is just going to fold up like so. The HG was just 2 parts. This has 3 parts. It's just the 2 main parts and then one little cap piece to go there in the center. Otherwise, still going to be very simple. It does have a connection on both sides for the left or the right hand to hold it there. If you want to plug this into the back skirt, it's just going to very simply drop down into there like so. No problems with that. Then we have our giant lance. Now here's a look at the length of this thing. Very long and definitely more complicated than the HG. Going to be some pretty nasty nub marks on there though, to be honest, so just going to be careful about that. And then here on the long part as well, we do have a separate piece there for the cap, so the seam line is not going to run all the way to the end. The seam line is going to run to about here, and then you're going to have to get rid of just some more seam line there at the end. Just to give you an idea of the length of this, for people in the US, let's see, it is going to be about almost 12 inches, so almost 1 foot in length. For the rest of the world, it's going to be about 30 centimeters, so very, very long, obviously much, much taller than the kit itself, so that's really cool. And then we have the booster unit. So again, unlike the HG, these purple parts here at the tip are purple pieces rather than stickers. So that's good. We do have some stickers though here in this part. We have 2 black little stickers that go inside of there. Otherwise, that is going to be it. We have thrusters here on the side and the back part. And again, the back part is going to move up and down. And then these are just connected onto there via ball joints. So these are going to move around every which way. How you're going to attach this is we just have the normal backpack here. You're going to need to take this off like so. Some nice detail up inside there. and put on the booster unit, and that is it. So once again, this does not come with an action-based connector, unfortunately. It is going to be very heavy now with that, and it's probably not going to stand up. My point is, so this is the action-based connector that you're supposed to use. It's just one of the connection pieces that comes with the action-based one. It's the widest one, I believe. So this is just going to go up underneath the skirt like so. And according to the manual, you're actually supposed to clip off the ends of the connection piece to make it a little bit shorter, but I found it kind of works just fine just as it is. So that's how that's going to work like that. Here's a look at the kit compared with the HG version. As you can see, I think, and I don't know, I'll try messing with the angle a little bit, but I think it's just the slight proportion and angle changes of the HG just make the HG look a little bit more mean. Whereas the 1/100 scale, I think, doesn't capture quite that same look. The 1/100 scale is obviously larger and a lot more detail, but the HG, I think, just has a little bit different angles here in the chest and the way that the chest and torso and all of that work that can just kind of pull off that sort of really badass looking pose, I think, maybe better than the 1/100 scale. But again, otherwise, it's going to be very similar. The colors are pretty much identical from what I can see so far. Looks like the color of the sticker on the shoulder and the color of the plastic there is going to be a little bit different, but otherwise all the molded colors are really going to be pretty much the same. So there are a couple more stickers that I did forget to point out. On the purple little vents on the front and back of the legs, we do have a black sticker up inside those areas as well, but again, nothing really all that worth mentioning. It'd be very easy to paint that, even if you have like zero painting experience. If you just have some sort of, even, I mean, like marker or something, you could fill that in. But anyway, other than that, yeah, you can see here, posing it is really not going to be too bad. You're not going to have too much issues with like those big shoulders getting in the way. Again, I do feel like the articulation of the 1/44 scale is probably a little bit better. Just the 1/100 scale, and this has kind of been the problem with the whole 1/100 scale line so far. I just feel like the 1/100 scale is just a little bit more weighed down just by its size and weight, just with it being larger. The HGs just are a little bit more free and nimble, I think, just because of their more simplified design. So again, it's just sort of a give and take. If you want more dynamic, then maybe go HG. If you want more detail, then maybe go 1/100 scale. So that is just kind of my 2 cents about that. So as you saw before, with that booster unit attached onto its backpack, it's going to have a really hard time standing up on its own. I'm sure you could probably sort it out, maybe even doing some sort of like launching pose, I don't know. But the point is, going to be really much better up on an action base. An action base is almost going to be required for this kit. It's one of those kits that, you know, you kind of wish Bandai would have included some sort of action base even with it, just because, you know, to really have the kit at its full potential, it's going to look really good up on an action base, just to be able to use that backpack and be in any sort of dynamic pose, especially with that huge long lance as well. With such long weight extensions off the back and on the front, you might be able actually to balance that out if you have it holding the lance, I guess, while it's standing. But I think definitely going to be better on an action base, and that is my point here. Otherwise, I did notice about the hands, just before I mentioned about the wrist of these hands being more robust. I think the point is that they're sort of built around there in a way so they're kind of very fixed in this position. So they're fixed at this angle, which does make it a little bit awkward. It's good for if you're holding the lance, but holding anything else, or just if you just want just closed hands and not the open hands on there, they are going to look a little bit odd just because of the angle that they're fixed at. So it's good for holding the lance. They're not really good for doing anything else that you might want to do with those hands though, just because of the fixed angle. So here we are, finally with the legs all opened up, and we're thrusting, flying through space here at high speeds. One thing that I did want to try to do was to see if you can hold the lance with two hands, but I really just think it's just not going to work. And that's a lot of it is going to be just due to, as I said before, the angle of the wrists. So I think maybe, you know, keep those extra hands, because if you wanted to do a two-handed pose, I don't know, you might be able to pull it off by using the other regular hands, not these sort of more fixed hands. But basically, the point is that basically you're going to be set to holding the lance just with one hand for the most part, probably. And the one concern I would have about that is the weight, and the weight, at least at the wrist, is not going to be a problem due to these hands, so that is good. The weight at the elbows and shoulders doesn't really seem to be too bad. I think there could be some more extreme poses where you would definitely run into difficulties, but there are plenty of options, it seems, for holding the lance with one hand and not having too much of a weight issue. So the other thing that I have run into as sort of a weak spot is these fins here on the side are kind of loose and just tend to just like drop down. So if you do want to have them sort of out like this, you kind of have to make sure that they're really kind of set in there just with some friction. But of course, painting and or gluing, putting some glue in there, there's plenty of ways to fix that, tighten those up just a little bit. But that's really been the only kind of noticeably slightly weak point of the kit. Everything else does feel pretty solid, which is good on a kit that's going to be like this. It's quite bulky and heavy and has some certain parts like the lower legs, quite bulky and heavy, has a big bulky backpack, a big bulky weapon. So you are going to want it to be pretty strong and secure, and definitely does seem to have that. So it's pretty much going to do it for this review. Overall, good kit, I would say, definitely. If you're interested, if you like the Kimaris and you like purple mobile suits, or you like just the look of this, then definitely go for it. If you have the HG version already, would I recommend getting this? You know, that's just totally up to you. If you're a big fan of the design and this has something that appeals to you, then yeah, of course, why not? If you know, are kind of on the fence, I don't know, maybe wait for a different 100 scale kit or something like that. So there's pros and cons. Mostly just going to be an overall just average kit. There's nothing that really stands out as too outstanding, but again, on the other side of that, there's not really any negative things that really stand out either. It's just kind of fine. So yeah, I like the Kimaris, so I'm happy with this. And we just actually, I should mention this as well, just about 24 hours ago from filming this review, we just got news that we're going to be getting a 1/100 scale Kimaris Trooper, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. I really like the design of the Kimaris Trooper quite a bit, so it'll be interesting to check out that kit. I believe that's out in July, so we'll see that a few months later down the line. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this. If you do have any other questions or comments, leave those down below. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next time. So, bye-bye.